Let's get to it, man. First question. Also, a lot of people go, oh, how do you submit questions? I post it on my IG usually Sundays. I'll post the fan questions, and then on Wednesdays I post fan questions, and then you just DM me, and I see all the questions. A lot of you already know this. And you can also submit the fan questions under the comment section in the YouTube. So in any shop show, you can submit the questions there. The fan question on Sunday, submit new questions there. We see them, and we'll get to them. So Instagram, DM me when you see me post fan questions on my stories or in the YouTube comments. That's how we do it. All right, kids, let's get to it. This is Jason Rocha, J Rocha 44. I wonder, do you think a contributing factor for the weaker White House card is that since there's above average likelihood it could be canceled due to security reasons, they didn't put all their eggs into that basket? Since there's above average likelihood it could be canceled, did they put all their eggs in they didn't put all their eggs in the basket? No, I don't think it's that. I hear you. I think they're pretty safe. I don't think they would go to the White House if it was that kind of dicey, if that makes sense, for lack of a better term. If it was, if they're worried about, they're doing it in June, so the weather. There could be rain in the summer. It's going to be humid, but they took all that into consideration. I just think, obviously, security's a big issue, but that's why it's going to be the most expensive card ever because of security reasons. The bigger security concerns will be on the outside. Like Dana White's giving out 85,000 tickets around the White House. That's going to be your security concern. All of it's a little weird, but that's why this is a one-off, which is why I think it's cool. But no, I see. I think since that's above average, like it could be canceled. No, so I don't think this is the thing. The narrative is off. People that think it's not a weak card in any facet. It's a great card. All this stems from, I keep saying this over and over, this all stems from is we were promised the greatest card of all time. The issue with that is Dana got in front of his skis because they don't have the roster even from 5 years ago to create even a competitive card to be in the lineup or the running to say it's the greatest of all time. So they're dealing with a number of factors of why this card didn't blow you guys away. The number one factor is they don't have the stars. Number two factor is they don't have the roster. Then number three, they just don't want to set a standard where they're paying guys 30, 20 million a fight. So you put all that in a pot and you mix up and you get a good card, but you don't get the greatest card of all time. That's what we're told. So that's where the criticism comes from. If he would have just kept his mouth shut, if he would have just said, doing the fight in the White House, there's only going to be 6 fights. We're going to try to put to the best card we can, with the available roster. It should be good. We'll see how it pans out. And then we get something else like, oh, damn, that's a dope card. That's cool. But the criticism came from the expectations. And then also what's not helping the UFC brass out, who put this card together, Hunter Campbell and Dana White, is at the same time Netflix MVP started releasing their card, which for casuals is a better card. So that's where you get all this criticism. It was the perfect storm. Hakeem D, I can't read it.
It's King.Keem.
Ooh, long one.
Yep.
After listening to Dana at the post presser this weekend, I'm thinking he may not be as checked out as the UFC previously believed. I think he cares more about putting an exciting stylistic matchup than putting 2 big names on the card. For example, everyone, including you, said Alex Jones would probably end in round 1 with Jones tapping him out. And I believe Dana said this too, or at least he knows this is true. So instead, we get someone that will stand with Alex and has the possibility for a more exciting matchup and allow Alex to make history. Fair. Dana has always said he doesn't care much about these prize fights, although he's done them. I don't think he likes it, and removing the pay-per-view gives him the freedom not to have to do those anymore. Yes and no. I think both can be right. Maybe Dana does want more stylistic, better matchups for the hardcores, but then also he doesn't want to pay for the big names. So could you use the excuse that, man, I'm just trying to make the best fights? Sure. We're not getting that. So I think it's more of a money issue than anything. Let's say, they have the money, so it's not even worth, we can go down this road. So let's say instead of $7.7 billion, they paid them $20 billion. So they definitely have the money. They have the money now, but let's just live in this hypothetical world where they have even more money, and you give them $20 billion. Billion's crazy. $20 billion. Then you would get John Poatan, you get Conor, insert name. You would get these huge matchups we want to see. I just think it's more of a budgeting, bottom dollar, shareholders happy thing, more so than Dana being like, well, I just want good fights. I do. Now, checked out, define checked out. Do I think Dana's still involved with the business and cares about it? Yeah. Is it Dana from 10 years ago when he was trying to get the ESPN deal and had Conor and putting Brock Lesnar on cards to get it over the hump? No. Are there other people making big decisions? Yes. And that wasn't the case before. So I think when people say checked out, it's not like he's like, I don't care, man. Who's fighting this weekend? I don't think it's that. I think his focus and efforts are into Zuffa boxing. I don't think it's power slap anymore. I think power slap's in cruise control. It is what it is. It gets those clicky views, but there's no superstars there. And Dana's not trying to build the superstars. Like, name one slap fight guy. Go. Paige Van Zandt. Okay, good point, Brendan. But I'm just saying, name the big boys. That's not the model. The model is just sensationalized clips of people getting knocked out with slaps. That's the business model. But that's pretty much done. So his fight's going to be in boxing. That's where all his energy's at. So it's just like, he's decided to move on to something else. That's all it is. Daryl_P_Roberts. Hey, mate, massive fan all the way from Wales in UK since the days of Big Brown Breakdown. Misspelled break. All good. All good, buddy. You spelt it like an actual truck brake, which I'm all about. You did it right. Just wondering, how will you look back at this era of heavyweights and say who the best is? Interesting. After the White House card, we will have 4 heavyweight champions out there. Jon Jones, the winner of Alex and Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall, and Francis. Who would you put on top? You'd have to put Francis on top. Francis is the lineal champion of the world. He left the UFC heavyweight division champion. He was never taken away from him. No one ever beat him while he was champion there. That last stint he had, and they went on to defend it, a different belt in the PFL. But there's not much they can do until Francis decides to come back, which will never happen. He's making more money than they could ever pay him. So your best lineal champion is Francis Ngannou. Now, that being said, could Francis beat Tom? That's a very tough fight for Francis. Stylistically, Tom's a nightmare for Francis, but it's definitely possible. Can Francis beat Poatan? He beat Gane, right? So even if Gane beats Poatan, that does nothing because Francis beat him already and beat him with grappling, which is insane. But if Poatan were to beat Gane, is Poatan better than Francis? Probably not. That's a tough matchup. Let's see how he looks at heavyweight with his added size. Jon Jones, the arthritis, the hip issues. After Tom's one round against Cyril Gane, the debate would be who's better, Jon Jones or Francis. Problem is we're probably never going to see them fight. And then for Tom, he's in just the worst situation. There's not a lot of contenders there. Obviously, he's been out with the eye surgery. The last time you saw him, he got poked in the eye, but also struggled with Gane in the first 5 minutes. So that doesn't do him any favors. But as far as talent-wise, Tom's has the highest ceiling for sure. He's also the youngest at all those guys, I think, too. So I think Tom probably has the biggest upside. The issue is he's never going to get the credit because we don't have the roster for him to prove himself as the best. So without a doubt, you'd have to say Francis is the lineal heavyweight champ of all those guys. Dylan Slater. Love the pick with the kiddo, man. Cute. MMA Guru said he'd be down to collab. This is like the third week in a row we've got this. MMA Guru said he'd be down to collab. Could we see an episode of King and the Thing this year? Well, the answer is yes. I love MMA Guru. I think he's doing the Lord's work, and I love his opinions. I think we agree on a lot of things, so I think it'd be fun. But the other thing, I have no connection to him, so I don't know how we're going to make it happen. But the other thing is could we see him on King and the Thing this year? Love that, but I'm not the King.
I know.
The King was Theo Vaughn.
He's a Sting.
So it would be the fighter and the Thing.
Oh, that too.
It'd be the fighter and the Thing. Yeah. Fighter and the Thing this year. Yeah, I'm down. If anyone knows MMA Guru, reach out to him, say I'm down. Buddy.cf. We got this one right time too. Schaub, you never got offered to work with the UFC? Yeah, I have. I've worked for the UFC, bud. I think you would be the best matchmaker. No, they're not offering me like a corporate gig, you know? I've worked for them, obviously. Your boy's wild. So the bridges have been burnt as far as working on the commentating team or the at the desk. So they have enough former fighters doing that. I don't think they need my talents there. Netflix MVP, that could happen. That could happen. Yeah, any of the ones outside the UFC, I usually get a call about. I'll say that. I'm doing the commentating with Jimmy Smith for Game Bread. It's in the Dominican Republic, April 10th. It's going to be me and Jimmy, and I couldn't be more excited. Jimmy Smith is so damn good. So me and Jimmy Smith are doing that. I think we have 6 or 7 scheduled this year. Me and him doing the commentating. Awesome. Yeah.
Have you been to Dominican Republic before?
No.
Oh.
Have you?
No, but I heard it's awesome.
Yeah. Like, I guess, get in there, Bubba. Yeah, dude, I would get in there if I could. I've made my bed, man. I talk too much shit. Luke Hutch. Oh, I love this guy. Question for the next show, boss. What's your favorite UFC walkout of all time? If you had a comeback fight in 2026, what would your ultimate walkout song be? My favorite UFC walkout, God, that's a tough one. I love Patty's off with him, and he's doing the fucking zombie thing. That's more current stuff. There hasn't been any great ones. Obviously, when Conor came out with Sinead O'Connor, come on, buddy. That might be the greatest of all time. Jose Aldo coming out to Rihanna. Feel it in the air.
I don't remember that.
Who's going to run this down tonight? Question for you. Who came out to that song first? Who was the very first fighter to come out to Run This Town Tonight?
Not you.
It was me.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. It was me against Roy Nelson.
Oh, shit.
So I stopped coming out to that song. My walkout song was Square Dance by Eminem. Boom, 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 boom. People, it feels so good to be back. Yeah, the thing goes hard.
Did you send other ones in that he didn't choose, or he always lets you get?
When I was in Brazil, I wanted to like calm things down because it was so hostile for me out there that I was like, oh, I'll come out to Beautiful People by Chris Brown. And I submitted it. And then the night of the fight, I was at dinner with my agents and my managers and my family. And Dana came up and was like, you can't come out to that. That's not happening. I was like, all right, Square Dance. All right, we're playing prison roles, huh? All right, I'll murder this old man. And Big Nog was like, no, you're not.
Not that night, at least.
This is going to be the worst night of your life. The Chase Fuller. My bad on the typo, Big Dog. I didn't even see it, bud. Now the MVP Netflix card is good. Yeah, it's solid. but we're not all going to pretend we're getting some crazy high-level fights top to bottom. There are a good bit of mismatches on there. Yeah. Thoughts on high-level bangers that stand out versus fun fights? Tell the big gay Al, a.k.a. Rinks, a.k.a. Brian Callahan, a.k.a. the Kid. His last show in Charlotte was fire. I'll tell him. I'll definitely forget, but I'll try to do my best. Gonna go see Nick, my boy Nick Simmons, who isn't here today. Nick has this new show. It's so good. It's a workout show. It's so dope. He was in LA shooting it, so that's why he's not here this week. He hasn't been here. Gonna go see Nick at Ducksworth April. I assume that's in Charlotte. Ducksworth. What a great name. So his question is, the MVP Netflix card is good. For the first one, it's great. But we're not all going to pretend we're getting some crazy high-level fights top to bottom. There are a good bit of mismatches on there. Thoughts on high-level bangers that stand out versus fun fights? Well, so what MVP's challenge is when they put this card together is they're a little different than their business model is different than UFC, right? They're more of a spectacle, big bangers, need the views, need the subscribers, make it an event where you don't know if we're going to do more, but check this out. And we need eyeballs, we need big names. And this card not only does it have eyeballs and big names, but it has a few really good matchups, like legit contender matchups. There's one or two on there, but either way, you have some legit fights on there. Muhammad fighting on there. There's some really good fights on there. So Netflix isn't in the business of, high level, no name, moving the sport along type of fights. They're going to do it, regardless to a certain extent, but like they're not like, all right, let's build up this young kid and then we'll put him on December's card. There's no plan right now, I don't think. I could be wrong. I don't know the inner workings of MVP and Netflix, and they might already have a card, but again, that's going to be highlighted by Ronda versus Holly, Nate versus insert other name, guys like that. That's how it's going to be highlighted. So, Netflix, their business model is to grab eyeballs, and you got to have those big names. And I agree, there's some mismatches on there, but you're going to tune in. And that's what they want. That's exactly what they want. Now, if the UFC did a card like this, they would get destroyed. All bias aside, I thought the UFC White House card was going to be more like the Netflix card. Because the White House card, again, it's very similar, and this is the comparison with Netflix MVP. The White House card is a spectacle. It's a one-off. Trump's there, the oligarchs are there, the lead are there in the audience, like Django with Leonardo DiCaprio and the slaves. They're watching, celebrating people get messed up. They're hoping they don't get blood on their freaking white suits and dresses and all that shit. It's a one-time thing. It's to get the most eyeballs possible. So it's McDonald's at this point. We don't care about the matchups as far as the next few cards and the potential matchups. We're doing this just to gain as much traction as possible. So it's going to be fast food. It's going to be McDonald's. You're getting your Big Macs. You're getting your quarter pounders. You're getting your freaking fish fillets. You're getting the ribicues. You're getting all that shit. People love it. And it brings the boys to the yard, And I thought that's what they're going to do on the White House card. So I thought you were going to get the Conor, the John, the Ronda, like that type of vibe. And they went kind of a different direction because they have to, because they didn't want to pay. But I would assume their original idea was very Netflix-ish. But they couldn't pull it off because they didn't want to pay the money. T-Mart 206. I'm a former minor leaguer, and this is my comparison. UFC is really in its beginning of becoming a big-time sport like MLB, NBA, and all the others. I'd say they're already there, but carry on. They're going to have to create a minor league or European league or whatever for all the other sports. UFC is diluting the product. They should only have the big leaguers of MLB in their UFC league. Agreed, dude. We don't have the we don't have the talent pool to do that. I'm with you 100%. Here's what's crazy. What you're pitching right now was the UFC 10 years ago. The cards, there wasn't as many, and when you got them, they were stacked, and it was the most talented guys in the division, and they were names. So what you're pitching, the UFC was 10, 12 years ago, even 8 years ago. That's what it used to be. But now, because they have to fulfill over 40 cards a year, you're getting guys like 10 years ago, 75% of the roster's not on there. They're just not at that level. But you have to fill in these fluffers. You have to fill in, even though the guys aren't ready or they have such a long ways to go or they're not really pros, you gotta hit your mark. You gotta fulfill 45 fight cards a year. So you're getting guys who can claim they're UFC alumni, where if this is, especially in the heavyweight division, but if this is 10 years ago, dude, they're still 5 to 6 fights away from even getting a sniff into the UFC, you know? Like, imagine if the NFL, NBA, MLB lowered their standard and just brought in guys who are, they check the box, you know? Like, it would be a nightmare. Be a nightmare. I mean, the Pittsburgh Pirates are fucking close to that. If you see their center fielder with Paul Skeens last night, Jesus. Poor Paul Skeens. Paul, that's why you got to get out of there. I don't want to start a baseball rant. Go Dodgers, though. They fucking won, baby. They won. They look good first game. So he finishes with, I don't know the process, but it's turning into that, and I guess maybe Bellator and other gay shit is already minor leagues in the UFC. Correct. Bellator was their minor league, which Bellator is basically PFL now. Yeah, that would be the comparison of minor leagues. Mac Z Patrick. Hey guys, long-time listener from Finland. Shout out to Finland. What you think Alex Poton changes to win his third belt against Gane, and where he should be on the GOAT list if he wins his third belt? Maybe the greatest combat athlete of all time. He would be then a 2-division champ at Glory, a 3-division champ at MMA. Wish you guys all the best. Shout out to this guy. What do you think Poton changes to win the third belt? I don't think he has to change much. I just, Poton does get hit. He is bigger. I think he's like 240 something now. There's a video of him and Strickland sparring at heavyweight. He looks like a fucking tank. Yeah. He looks like a praying mantis got on TRT. He's jacked. But even from light heavyweight to heavyweight, there's a difference. So that jab's going to fuck your world up. You can't take many hits, if any. So for Poton, his defense is going to have to increase. And I'm curious if his power translates to heavyweight, where if he lands that historic left hook on Gane, does Gane go down? We'll find out. So there's a few questions that we need to answer before we can co-sign him as the greatest ever. As far as the GOAT conversation, maybe the greatest combat athlete of all time. 2-division champ at Glory, 3-division champ at MMA. He'd be in the conversation. There would be an asterisk, right, on this heavyweight run. The asterisk would be we know this. The hardcores know this. Him beating Gane's not the champ. So even though, let's say you were to beat Gane at the White House, that's really not our best heavyweight. Our best heavyweight in the UFC has a vision issue, and he's coming back. So I think you could maybe put him up there higher for the number one. He's definitely top 3. But you could put him higher number 1. If you were to beat Gane, right, starch Gane, like, Jesus Christ, he's the heavyweight champ. Aspinall's eyes get better, and they beats Aspinall, then you're like, okay. Because there's going to be an asterisk. So let's say him and Tom never fight. The cows are going to be like, that's your heavyweight champ. We know. The people that know that, well, he didn't beat the champ. So there's an asterisk there. That's it. But as far as greatest combat sports athlete of all time, DC has something to say in that. Henry Cejudo has something to say in that. You gotta remember, DC was an Olympian. DC was an Olympian. DC was a light heavyweight champ when it really mattered. I mean, you're talking Strikeforce heavyweight champ, UFC. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And more, his strength of schedule is a little better than Poaton's. Again, would you say getting on the Olympic team is more impressive than being a 2-division champ at Glory? Probably. And then Henry Cejudo obviously won the gold and then double champ. And again, at a time where the competition was a little stiffer. So he's definitely top 3. If he beats Poatan, he might get number 2, but I wouldn't give him number 1 yet because the asterisks of the heavyweight division, he hasn't beat the champ. Siragan, God, they're trying to make him fucking champion. Good God. 5 times? Never even heard of this shit. But that shows you how weak the division is. But if you were to beat Gon and then beat Aspinall like 6 months from now, then he's probably your number 1. Gary Brooks II. Do you think that Jon Jones not fighting on the White House card is all a front? With Tom's recent post saying back to work and recently signing with Hearn, is there a world where they drop Jones versus Tom on the White House card and make Poatan versus Gon the number 1 contender? I mean, that would blow me pretty nicely. Agree? Love the reference there. No, I don't think it's a front. I think there's legit issues with Jon getting him to get on there. I just don't see Tom being ready by June either. And it would also just confuse people because then Poatan and Cyril Gane signed on to fight for a title. And then they're not going to be like, psych, we got Jon and Aspinall on here. You guys are fighting to fight the winner of that. No belt. And then contractually and the money they're guaranteed gets a little weird. And it's also very confusing for fans. And the White House card has taken such a black eye. It's got such a negative connotation to it right now. They wouldn't want to go through all this. They wouldn't want to go through all this at all. So you maybe get Tom and Jon down the road, Justin Barrage. What up, Schaub? What do you think Fluffy's next fight should be? I think he's now being... Sorry. I think he's now being overlooked after that Strickland fight. Let me see the middleweight rankings. Listen, for Fluffy, I think as tough as they come, great cardio, but when you break him down, his thing is one of my favorite traits a fighter can have is he's so mentally tough and he breaks guys. That's going to take you pretty damn far. What do you win? 8 in a row? It's going to take you pretty damn far. But when wrestling's your forte, you have to be very, very elite to beat the top level guys. Very elite to go in there and they know wrestling's coming and you still get the takedown. A la Hamzat, Makhachev, Sarukian, the Khabib style. Like you have to have such an elite background that the rubber's going to meet the road eventually. Where, again, he won 8 in a row and that's nothing to, just look away from. But with his wrestling pedigree, once you start fighting the top upper echelon guys, if you don't have a world-class background in that aspect, so I'm saying if you Division I All-American, national champion, Olympic team, just an extensive wrestling background where you're high level, you're eventually going to meet guys where they're going to negate that, so you lose that tool. Now you're forced to strike for 5 rounds or 3 rounds. You're not exactly a high-level striker, and you're probably not going to beat those guys. So he's probably reached his ceiling at his age. He's always going to be tough to beat. Champ, probably not, unfortunately, but that 0.1% of all fighters become champions. So he is one of my favorites, and I love the way he fights. But Strickland has world-class takedown defense, better striking. You saw how that went for him. He got his ass whooped. So when he can't use his wrestling to mix things up, then you just get You get Fluffy as a striker. And is that world class? Nope. And so Strickland showed that in a major way. What's he going to do to Hamzat? Like, just think, if you go through it, again, there's no shade on Fluffy. He's an amazing fighter. But when you're talking about those top tier guys, how's Fluffy beat Hamzat? Is he going to stop a takedown? No. Is he going to take Hamzat down? Not a chance. You know? Imavov, Strickland, you know, those upper tier guys, those really elite guys, it's going to be tough for Fluffy to find wins there. But he'll always be a top 7, top 8 guy. Always. Which ain't a bad life, man. Ain't a bad life. Great question. _ Josh 1985. Do I put the mortgage on Izzy this weekend? Do I put the mortgage on Izzy Adesanya this weekend? As you guys are watching this, you know what happened. So I shoot these on Friday. Would not put the mortgage on Izzy. He's lost 4 out of his last 5. Joe Pyfer hits like an absolute Mack truck. He's a gift from the heavens. And when you're fighting a guy like that, it takes just one shot. So you don't want to put your mortgage on the line. Also, there's going to come a day, I'm not saying it's this Saturday for Izzy, but where he's just nowhere near the same fighter that he was. It's going to come if he sticks around long enough. So you don't know what version of Izzy we're going to get. Is it the Izzy that fought Strickland in Australia, who's unfocused and fucking around, getting DUIs? Is it the Izzy in his last 2 losses who was doing really well and then the tides turn and he kind of shuts down, you know? Or is it the Izzy that fought Robert Whittaker or Paulo Costa? We don't know. So I would not bet on this fight. I sure as hell wouldn't put my mortgage on it. But I wouldn't bet against him. Standard _Holmes_limited. Hey guys, love the show. Question: with the UFC going super heavy with wrestlers as champs, how do elite strikers deal or change their style to adapt to the wrestling heavy time? It's tough because the wrestlers that are coming in are super elite. But there's ways to do it. But the issue is guys want instant gratification. They want to get to the big leagues right away instead of developing their skills. So the issue is if you have these elite guys, the Armins, the Hamzats, the Stevensons, the Gable Stevensons, you know, these elite wrestlers, they can win a ton of fights even though they don't have the overall skill set to make things exciting or to keep it on its feet. They dictate where the fight goes, and they're very, very good at it. They're better at that than anything these other guys are good at because everyone's in a rush to get to the UFC. Everyone's in a rush to get on TV and get on Paramount and get money. That's all relative, but more money than their regional circuit. So if I had an elite striker, I would not be in a rush to get to the UFC. I would develop the skills. I would get him with a good camp where there's really good wrestlers so he can develop a takedown defense. I'd give him you have to have an elite coach these days, a Thiccc, some of these big teams, ATT, all those boys. And I would have him going against these elite wrestlers, developing the necessary skills. So when he gets to the UFC, he's not trying to find those skills. This day and age, it's a little different where there's enough shitty guys on the roster. You can develop skills as you get going, depending who you are. Unless you're a big name, then they're going to push you a little faster. But this day and age, there's enough shitty guys in the UFC where you can kind of build the skill set before you're off to the races. But I'm old school, and I would say we're not building skills when we get to the UFC. When we get to the UFC, we're looking for championships. So when we get there, we're hitting the ground running. So I would get my experience, I'd get my skill set developed in a Ryzen, in a Cage Warriors, these other leagues, LFA, these other leagues, just to get going.
I would imagine too, I don't know, you give me your point of view, that if you had the absolute best wrestler and then the absolute best striker, the wrestler would probably win more times.
Destroy him.
Right? That's the thing with the
Destroy
striking.
him. Destroy him. Alex Diato. Alex Diatio. Hey, big fan. I've been watching your shows for years now. I don't hear you talk much about the UFC BJJ because there's not much to cover, pal. And they don't give a fuck either, so why would I? Would like your thoughts on it. It has a long ways to go. Definitely seems a little cringe at times. Also, thoughts on cutting Strickland's mics, start of UFC censorship. P.S. Freedom 250 card not blown. Hilarious. Yeah, the UFC BJJ, it's tough because I'd much rather watch what's the other big one?
RAF? You talking about wrestling?
No, RAF, that's a different genre. What's our boy
10th Planet guy?
No, man, Craig Jones, for fuck's sakes. He's killing them. Craig Jones puts on just such better fights, better matchups, more exciting, bigger names. Craig Jones runs circles around UFC
CGI,
BJJ.
that's what it is.
CGI, yeah. CGI is way more exciting than UFC BJJ. And UFC BJJ, it's just, hey guys, it's all corporate now. Everything's corporate, you know? So I'm a fan of CGI, fan of my boy Eddie Bravo's EBI stuff. But UFC BJJ, it's like they don't really put much into it. So why would I even care at this point? John Vaxarilio _2. Yeah, dog.
I know, dude. They're getting harder.
Long-time listener, first-time caller, my man. Hamzat versus, misspelled Hamzat, all good, it is tough. Hamzat versus Strickland. What does Strickland have to do to win the fight since he's almost 3-1 dog? I'm definitely taking Strickland after his last performance. Agree. Before the Fluffy fight, I'm like, that's a nightmare for Strickland. Seeing Strickland in the Fluffy fight, I'm like, my God, that dude might be the best middleweight on the planet. He knew what was at stake. He looked fantastic. If we get that same version of Sean, this whole fight comes down, can guarantee you Sean gets taken down. That's not even up for debate. He's going to get taken down. Can Sean weather the storm for 3 rounds, not get choked out, not get beat up? I don't think he'll get ground pounded out, but can he defend the takedowns enough where he gets taken down? He's making Hamzat work, making him work. First round. So going into the third or fourth, he's down 3 rounds. I would almost guarantee it. I don't care about that. If you're a Sean Strickland fan, can he defend the submissions? Can he get back to his feet? And as that later third, the start of the fourth, especially the 5th round, can Sean start capitalizing on Hamzat getting tired, start getting off on the feet, using the pressure? Because Strickland's cardio is insane. So can he implement his will later in the rounds and get it done? I think he can. I really do. 3-1 dog's hilarious. Ryan Juiced 1-5. Hey, man, we got a lot of international, man. Hey, man, Ryan here from Cape Town, South Africa again. So I missed your first question, dude. There's a lot of them. I try to get to them. Big fan. I wish I saw you in your prime. My question is, do you think DDP has what it takes to be middleweight champ again? Do you see him going to light heavyweight? Do I see him being middleweight champion? Definitely could. I think if he approached the Hamzat fight, it'd be a better fight. Does he ever beat him? I don't know. The way that fight ended, it gives you hope if you're DDP. There's definitely things he could do to improve his chances. And then obviously if Strickland becomes champ, there's definitely things that he has advantages in that fight. So if Strickland were to beat Hamzat, I bet DDP's like, all right, let's go, man. Let's go, because he beat him before, right? So it's really going to be predicated on that Hamzat Strickland fight. I would like to see him get a second shot against Hamzat and see how he's made some changes. It's going to be tough. It's just a nightmare of a matchup. Dude, if I'm anywhere near the top 5 in the middleweight division and I'm a bigger guy, dude, I'm jumping to light heavyweight so fast. DDP's a big dude. You're telling me DDP doesn't beat Yuri or Olberg? He already beat Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker's up there now. Jamal Hill. Like, you look at light heavyweight. You want to be champ, dude, and get paid? I would, if I'm DDP, buddy, let's quit cutting this bullshit weight and go to light heavyweight. That's what I would do. I would wait to see what Hamzat Strickland, see what the UFC wants to do. If they're going to keep giving you fucking contenders, no, get out of here, dude. Get out of here. Let's go over to light heavyweight. Because, again, it's prize fighting. Jake Guy JTG. Is GSP the best example for staying in shape after being done? I feel like out of all the retirees, he's the one that could still do it. I'm in pretty good shape, amigo. But no, GSP's always been a thin guy. And he's always just like a true martial artist. Like, he's probably doing Taekwondo in the mirror as we speak. And he's always been pretty strict on his diet. So yeah, he's definitely one of them. He looks great. He looks great. There's a few that look good. There's a few of them out there that we keep our shit together. There's nothing worse than when a guy retires and you're a fan of his and watch him, and he's like Shredville and all that, and then you run into him at like Buffalo Wild Wings and he's 300 pounds. You're like, oh, what's up, dude? I was a fan. Picture? I'm good. You know? There's nothing worse. Big Buckeye 24.
The long one.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I remember this one. All right, here we go. I love this. It starts off with, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm also not at all a casual, so I'm not asking like I'm an idiot. I didn't take you that way, my man. I read this one earlier. Why are you so high on Aspinall? You talk about him like he's the greatest fighter who ever existed. You specifically said he had to beat Cyril Gane more impressively than Jones did, or he wouldn't measure up to Jones. Well, he didn't come close to doing what Jones did. Agree. Yeah, that's fine. But he got poked in the fucking eyes and had to have eye surgery. You act like him getting beat up for a round against Gane was nothing. Yeah, I don't think it's much, dude. And he did get beat up. Fair. His face was fucked up, and that was pre-eye poke. Fair. John would have beat Gane 4 times if he had 5 minutes. Fair. Now you completely disregard that and are back to talking about Aspinall like he's God. Do I?
Not
like he's God?
Huh?
All right. The heavyweight division fucking sucks. Why do you think he's so good? What's this gentleman's name? Big Buckeye 24. Assume you're from Ohio, my man. Yeah, you know what it is? A part of it is I feel like Aspinall's been fucked over and never got his due, so I stick up for those guys. I think Aspinall, again, it's not his fault. It's just when he was born, the heavyweight division has never been worse. He waited 2 years for Jon. It never came to fruition. Jon just played grab ass. They gave Jon the money he wanted. Jon still didn't do it. So he fights Cyril Gane, a fight nobody wanted to see. So I assume some of that is tough for Tom to get up for that fight. He struggles with Cyril. I'll give you that. He struggled with Cyril. And then he gets poked in the fucking eye, and the fight gets stopped. And then the guy's out probably a year at least because he got poked in the eye. It's pretty fucked up. And how would you feel about Tom Aspinall? Take away the Cyril Gane, the 1 round. Take about the 1 round. We got bloodied. Takedown didn't look great. I'll give you that. Take that away. What measurement would you have to say Tom's not pretty fucking good? All first round stoppages. I think the only fight that didn't end in the first round was Orlovsky, but he choked him out early in the second. So the evidence we have is Tom's pretty fucking talented, dude. He's pretty fucking good. And you're just going to throw all that away because, man, he struggled with Gane for that 1 round. That's not fair. But it's also not fair to say he's the greatest of all time. I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. I'm saying he has the potential. I'm saying the UFC's done him no justice. I'm saying the UFC criticizes the guy, made fun of him basically for stopping the fight because he had to have fucking double eye surgery. His skill set, I've been doing this a long time, Bubba. His skill set compared to Cyril Gane is much higher. His ceiling's much higher. This is Gane's 5th fucking title shot. The guy can't figure it out. Cyril Gane is a guy that got out-grappled by Francis Ngannou with 1 knee. You say, yeah, but Tom, struggled with him. Yeah, sure. Evidence would show that as that fight keeps going on, Tom was going to win that fight. Tom would win that fight. One of them has a lot of skill in all aspects of MMA. One of them does not. One of them is French. One of them has quit before. One of them has been given 5 fucking title shots and can't figure it out. So I just cannot give it up to Gon. I can't. I've never been blown away by him. He's never blown me. Yes, Tom did have some issues with him in that first round. I'm not willing to bank on one round over a guy's entire catalog. I'm just not. Now, let's see how Tom comes back. Do I think he's bona fide greatest of all time? No, not yet. He hasn't done enough yet. But we know Cyril Gane has no excuses, and he's sure as fuck not the greatest of all time. So we'll see. The jury's still out on Tom. And a lot of it's not his fault. And when I feel like a guy is getting mishandled, especially being the heavyweight champion, and they're talking down to him, that's when I get mad. And then I have that guy's back. So that's probably why you're feeling this way. Do I think he could easily beat Francis? No, I think those are tough fights. Does he easily beat Jon? No, that's a very tough fight for him. But we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. I would be willing to bet, buddy, that I'll bet you on this, that when he is ready, if Cyril Gane does beat Poatan and they do Tom Cyril, Tom beats the absolute shit out of him. I would bet on that. I could be completely wrong, but I would be willing to bet on that fight. And I don't bet on fights, but I would take Tom over Aspinall. I would take Tom Aspinall over Cyril Gane all day. Smoke car.
Yeah.
You think they saving Jon? You think they saving Jon for a bigger card or a venue they can fill up to make money off him? No. I literally think they didn't want to spend the money on the White House card. They have a budget. It's the most expensive card. And they're probably like, you know what? This card's going to do great no matter what. So let's not spend whatever Jon wanted, $20 million on Jon. Now, maybe you're right. They're like, hey, let's do the Conor method. You might be right, bud. You might be right. The more I talk out my ass about this, you might be right. You might be right. Like, all right, we'll pay Jon whatever the $25 million that he wanted, but we need the gate. And that's why you didn't get Conor on the card, because they need the gate. My question for you, though, is if you think they're saving him, my question, and I'm legit asking this question, I'm not being condescending, is Jon going to sell out like a Conor is? You know, is Jon that draw still? I'm legit asking. I don't know. I don't know the temperature, the fan base temperature on Jon. He hasn't fought in a very long time. He's older. Yeah, he's been in the media, but it's been positive and then negative. So I don't know. I don't know if they announce a fight at T-Mobile Arena, if it sells out like a Conor fight would. I literally legit don't know. I bet you the UFC doesn't either.
But I think he's probably more popular now because of all the stuff that's been happening, like him getting, not going on the White House card, even though he should be on it. All this drama building up.
Yeah, maybe.
So if you want to see him,
you might be right. But if that's the solution, then Armin's going to sell out.
Oh, he's going to sell out. He's going to do well.
Then fucking get Armin a fight. There's nobody bigger. As far as being in the news, relevant, social media, he's bigger than Jon.
Yeah.
But I legit don't know, bud. You might be right. They might be like, hey, we'll pay him that money, just not in the White House because we need the gate. You might be right. I'm seriously curious if Jon is a big gate ticket seller. I don't know. Okay. I don't know these days.
I think this is the last one.
D_Gutierrez.
This one?
Can you see fighters who are on their last fight with the UFC start talking to Netflix before they sign a new deal with Netflix? Could Netflix become a real competitor? Yep, we'll end on this one. I get this question all the time. Netflix MVP is great if you're at a certain level. So the people that think that Netflix MVP is going to compete with the UFC, that you're just totally missing the mark. They're just not, it's two completely different business models. One is for big Super Bowl spectacles once every 6 months. The other puts a card on every fucking week. So you're talking about apples and oranges here. And it's great because the few who actually can garner the attention of MVP Netflix, the few can use them as a negotiation tactic, a power to receive more money in the UFC. There's like 6 guys maybe who can do that, which is great for those few individuals. But the level you have to get big boy money from MVP, from Netflix, it's far and few between. So it doesn't really help the overall roster, but it does help the old big names. So as far as it becoming a real competitor, it's just not in their business model, but it is a good avenue for those few big names. All right. But it's just their business model is different. They're not investing in these young prospects, building them up, and seeing them on prelims and, maybe the first fight on the main card and then eventually co-main event and main event. That's just not their business model. They're not throwing fights every month. I'm so curious to see what Netflix MVP does after this. Like, what's the move? And I'm sure they have a move. They're not just flying by the seats of their pants. But once I know that, once we see what their next move is, then we'll have a better idea what the future is for MVP Netflix in regards to MMA and if they're actually going to be a competitor. Because right now you can't say that. All right. Great questions, guys. Love doing it. Fucking love doing this. It's my absolute favorite, doing the Schaub show, doing these fan questions. So I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed those fights on Saturday night. Hope you're listening to this as you're driving your kiddos to baseball. May God bring them big dingers and great gloves. All right. So I love you guys. Thank you for everything. Submit your questions for Monday's show. And I will see you guys. Love you. Like, subscribe, do all this stuff. I'm out.